Welcome to one of the best weeks of the entire year. It is the week of the National. The National Sports Collectors Convention is now literally just a few days away. And in today's show, we're going to get you all ready for it. And we're going to give you the inside scoop, some details about this year's National and some of the things going on that you might not even know yet. I'm going to bring onto the show Ray Schulte. He is the head of communications for the National. He's been on our show in the past, and he always does a great job of giving us all of the inside details about everything going on at the National. And we are going to break down all of that information for this year's Cleveland National as well to get you ready. And before I bring him on, I want to mention that Sports Card Investor, Market Movers, Card Kids, and Cards HQ will all have a big presence at the National. Sports Card Investor has a booth in the corporate area where I will be doing trades on Friday and Saturday. There's opportunity to meet our team. Market Movers will be set up there the entire time as well. And our Card Kids trade zone, where kids can come together and do trade deals, that will be open throughout the entire National within our Sports Card Investor booth. So if you're a kid or if you're bringing your kids to the National, please bring them by the Sports Card Investor booth to our Card Kids trade zone. Cards HQ will also have its own dealer tables at the National, separate from the Sports Card Investor booth, where Cards HQ is bringing literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy cards and collections. So if you have cards or collections to sell, we're going to give you a great price. Please go by the Cards HQ booth, as we'd be happy to make you an offer and pick those up from you. We'll also have some cards and wax to sell there as well. So lots of excitement, certainly from our teams here, and hopefully lots of excitement for you. So now let's get you ready for the National. Let's bring Ray onto the show. Welcome back to the show.
Geoff, thank you for having me.
Oh, I am so excited. We are just a few days away from the National. Ray, this is my favorite time of the year. Like, going to the National, it's my favorite event of the year. It's something I look forward to tremendously every single year. I know it's going to be just an absolute grind of 5 days. You know, of course, we're running all around the show floor doing content, and we've got our corporate booth and that kind of thing. But it's the best grind, and getting to see all the dealers and all the collectibles and all the people who come to it. It's magical. And I know you've experienced that. Obviously, you work for the National as well, but you've experienced that many times over.
Yeah, I've been asked that question. After doing this for 14 years, do you still get excited? And the answer is yes. I mean, I can't wait to get to the venue. I can't wait to look at everyone start loading in and setting up. And then, when we open, that mad rush for the center of the floor. And yeah, that is just, for me, every time is better. Every time is something that, we create more memories, which is what it's all about, right?
It is creating memories. Anyone who goes to the National, it's absolutely a memory, especially, if you get to go with friends or fathers and sons or whatever it may be. It's always a special time. So let's get people ready. Let's get people ready for the National this year. I want to get the audience ready to go to Cleveland, to understand what this venue is going to be like. To be prepared for the show. And there's new things happening this year. You've changed up the trade night significantly. There's other changes to the show. So there's a lot to tell the audience about today. Why don't we get started with, just in general, the IX Center in Cleveland is where it's being hosted. It's near the airport. From what I understand, it's a little bit isolated, though, since it's near the airport. Tell us about getting there, parking, shuttling from hotels. What is that going to look like for everybody?
Well, you're absolutely correct. The venue is like a minute or two from the airport. The hotels may be a little bit more of a challenge. They're maybe anywhere from 5 to 15 miles away. But we've kind of taken that in consideration when we're planning in terms of, like, and we'll mention this a little later, but the trade nights and everything, so that people, they don't have to travel back and forth. And I think that was potentially, a challenge. But now I think it's more of an asset to have that going that way. The one thing, for the people that attended the show in 2018, I regret to tell you that we don't have that Ferris wheel. They've taken that out. And so, I think a lot of people remember that. So, but from a positive standpoint, it gives us more space and better traffic, more, fluent traffic. And so we're excited about that. And I love the Cleveland. I love the IX Center. It's just so conducive to what we need to accomplish. And having over 500,000 square feet, it still does the job for us.
Yeah, it's still a big show for sure. Now, I've been to all the nationals since 2019, but 2018 was the last year it was in Cleveland, and I didn't go to that. I've talked to some dealers such as Joe Davis who have been to nationals in Cleveland before, and they've said parking's pretty easy. Wide parking lots, is that going to be the case this year? People who are driving in, should it be a fairly easy experience to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. We have parking all surrounding the venue. And it's on one level. I mean, it's ground level. It's I think it's $10 to get in for the entire day. But that's probably the easiest thing to do is if you're driving. And I would suggest driving because again, the parking is so conducive to just getting out of your car, and it's just like a 2-minute walk to the front entrance.
Okay, and then obviously people could, I'm sure, take Uber if they want. And I know
Sure.
You've got a shuttle service set up from many of the official hotels. So if somebody booked their hotels through the national website, tell us about that.
Yeah, no, it's just what you mentioned. I mean, we have shuttles from designated hotels that will drop you off at the IX Center, and then they'll have a rotation going back to the hotel. So I would just check with your hotels and just, make sure the times that they're departing. But that was intentionally done so that it would be easier on exhibitors and attendees who will be going to the show.
Now, the venue itself, help me, for somebody who's been to the Chicago show multiple times, and I'm used to that convention center at Rosemont. How does the IX Center, how is it similar? How is it different than that experience?
Yeah, it's 500,000 square feet. I mean, there's pillars that go down some of the sides, but they're not intrusive. I mentioned the Ferris wheel's gone. But it's really meant for a thorough traffic that we have. With the different areas, and all of our attractions have been able to fit in there according to what we planned, and so we're really excited about that. We'll have one lobby entrance that will come in, and we've had nothing but good things to say about working with the IX people. They've been just super to work with.
Now I think it is a little 500,000 square feet is still a very big show. It is a little smaller than what we had in Chicago last year, I believe. Last year in Chicago, you kind of extended into an extra wing of the building. So we are a little more compressed, but it also looks like more of kind of a straightforward layout than in Chicago, where it was a little bit of kind of the shape of the space was a little morphed with the expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I call Chicago, well, last year anyway, I call it the horseshoe because the way you walked in, you walked around. This one is wide open. I mean, we got the food court in the middle. And so it really is conducive to traffic, and I think it'll be great for the exhibitors because that traffic will be straightforward and easy to see, easy to get to, and understand where the different attractions are. It's all like in one line site, so that will be very helpful for everybody.
How does the dealer count this year compared to, let's say, last year's show?
Well, I think, obviously last year we had more space, and so we had more dealers. And, this year we've had to pull back just a little bit, but we still managed to get in a majority. We still have a waiting list to get in. I think for the people that are set up, I mean, it's going to work out really well. we haven't made a decision on next year in Chicago again, whether we're going to expand again. But we've maximized the space. They do a great job of doing that, our team, and we've added some new things in there. So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it reminds me, look at the show floor map, it reminds me a little more of like Atlantic City. Atlantic City had a very nice, wide open show floor. You could kind of see from one end to the other, even though the building was so large that it was actually hard to do that. But
Sure.
but it was a big box, and this looks much more like a big box setup. So
I would agree. Yeah, again, I think the point you made is that you can see everything.
yeah.
Versus having to go down and something's around the corner and you can't see it. You can see everything. You can see the numbers on top, so that if you've got our interactive map, you'll be able to check that out and get there fairly easily.
The corporate area this year, where you see a lot of your big booths, you see Topps and Panini and Fanatics Live and Golden and all of those different companies, including, by the way, Sports Card Investor. We're in the corporate area with our Card Kids Trade Zone and with Market Movers. That's split in two this year, it looks like. So talk about the setup of that.
Yeah, I think the management group did a good job. I mean, it is set up, but at the same time, there's no negativity in terms of like where they're placed or how they're placed. It's going to get traffic. It's going to get great traffic in both areas. But that was a decision that the management made, and I think it's a great one.
And we've got like past nationals. We've got a bunch of autograph guests. We've got on-site grading from some of the grading companies. So all of that activity, like we've seen in previous years, is going to be similar, it sounds like, this year as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to start with the autograph guests because, I think TriStar has outdone themselves again this year. They've each year they come in and they just kind of wow us. And this year we have over 150 athletes, which is, and you understand this, but for the layman, to have 150 athletes go through the show in 5 days is truly a miracle. It's amazing, the work and effort that goes into that. And not only that, but these are high profile. These are Hall of Famers. These are World Series winners. These are guys. And this year we're going to have, another great add to the team. We're going to have the 99 USA Women's National Soccer team there. Mia Hamm, Brandy Chastain, Michelle Akers. And they'll be appearing on Sunday. Then we have Cheryl Miller, too, coming in. So they've done a great job, and so we're excited about that. And ticket sales have been doing really well. Autograph ticket sales have been doing extremely well.
Yeah, I was thrilled to see that. There's obviously the growing popularity right now of women's sports. Obviously, the WNBA, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have exploded the popularity, it seems like, of the WNBA, and I think there's some trickle over into women's sports in general. And I know last year there was some criticism that the original autograph lineups didn't have female signers, but now this year seems like things have really gone in the other direction, where they've got some really great high quality, variety of female signers that are going to be there. So I'm sure that that's going to help attract audiences into the show for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to take off on what you just mentioned. I mean, it does attract women. And, we've seen in the last couple of shows, a more of a family atmosphere, the father, the mother, the daughter, the son, the grandparents. And I think a lot of that is kind of what I would say is from the perfect storm, which starts with the pandemic and then kind of leads on to, things that have been just kind of pop culture. Pop culture, I think, is a huge and doesn't get enough credit for adding the female element to the collecting base. And because there's something there. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be male or female to love Star Wars. You can be either. And I think that add to this, Pokemon and a lot of other things, international, all these things are coming together to where now, the family is comfortable coming together. Or just, I've seen it even last year, just women and their daughters come. But, to have the female athletes, to me, it's just like, it's just another add-on that I think from an industry standpoint, it's exciting. And it just seems to be, creating momentum going forward. And so we're excited about that aspect, and we'll keep plugging that as long as we can.
Yeah, for sure. No, I completely agree. It's been great to see, more diversity in the sports card industry in terms of gender, in terms of race. A lot has changed, and as you said, the pop culture element has definitely helped usher in new collectors, which has been fabulous as well. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that at the National this year. So as people are coming, one thing that always comes up is food options, right? I mean, you go to this venue, especially this year, where the venue's a little bit more isolated from walkable places around it. And so, what is that going to look like this year for people who are within the IX Center?
Well, I've been there before, obviously, and so I've seen, the food court. Took a tour again this year, and the management was and still is very, adamant about having that aspect of it, for the fans, for the attendees, and so there's a really nice food court. There'll be satellite opportunities. There'll be refreshments. So that's a priority for us, and I think with a couple of food trucks. I think the attendees and the exhibitors will be happy about that. But we understand the situation. We understand it's not Chicago, so obviously a lot of that has to be made up inside internally.
Yeah, it sounds like you've taken steps to add. Now, I did notice that there were food trucks on the map, which was that something that the National added just specifically for this event?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was something we've talked about in our planning stages very early on. They love the food trucks, and I do too. And so it was just a question of just putting something together and incorporating into the planning. And so you'll see that at the IX Center, and I think that's it's just another aspect of giving people options in terms of food and making it more comfortable to be on site as long as possible.
It's a big deal, and for somebody who is there from the before the show opens till after the show closes every single day this is going on, I can tell you I certainly appreciate some options and not just eating chicken tenders and fries every day. So it's nice to.
Me too. I totally agree with you. So yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad there's some options of variety this year. It'll be exciting to see what that looks like. So the show itself, we're obviously expecting a great show. We've talked a bit about the show floor. We've talked about the food. Outside of the show, you guys made a big decision this year with the trade nights, something a lot different than what the National has done in the past. Talk to us about what that is going to look like and what to expect.
Well, I can tell you the story, the history of the trade nights and how it relates to the National. It'll take too much time, so I'll cut to the quick version. We kind of kicked it off with Ryan Johnson in Atlantic City, and it was the first
Card
time.
collector too. Yep.
Yeah, which the first time that we brought it inside, and it was a huge success. I mean, obviously, we had that situation in all our hotels. I'd walk back to the hotel at 10 o'clock at night, and the entire hotel lobby was packed. And so we understood that that it would be cool to have a central area that they can congregate, not have to do hotel by hotel. Now they can still do that if they want to, but it was important that we could bring things together. We felt it was definitely warranted at that time, and so Atlantic City was our test, and I think it went over great. And then coming into Chicago, we saw really. I think. There's numbers being thrown around, but I think there was between 5,000 and 6,000 people that went through the trade night. And the reason I say that, and you wonder how they fit, there was a continual line from the start to the finish. And when somebody left the areas, another person was let in. And so, it was, there was no question that the concept of trade night was really, really, not only important, but exciting for attendees and the exhibitors too. And so, we made the decision going into Cleveland. We knew that the hotels were not right outside the door. We knew that, it'd be a little bit more challenging to recreate the trade night. So we said, let's bring them all inside. And so we knew we were going to do on Thursday. And then we just said, all right, let's add on Friday, let's add on Saturday. And so, the planning went into, I think the planning really started right after the show last year because we knew what we were getting into. And so I'm very excited. We extended the hours. It will start at 6 p.m. and shut down at 11 p.m. We have plenty of time to kind of show up, and the thing that you need to have your badge, or you'll get an arm bracelet from purchasing a ticket during the day. You need to bring that with you, and then you get in free. And then we'll have refreshments, and we have a lot of things. The whole concept, like anything else, Geoff, everything evolves, and so there'll be more activities, more interaction within each trade night, and whether it's personalities or athletes or breaks or whatever, it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be something that we feel really confident that people are going to say, "How, wow, this is great. This is worth my time coming," and again, creating memories for a lifetime.
Yeah, that's exciting. So 6 to 11 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. So 3 official trade nights. I'm thrilled you're doing this. I know last year in Chicago, there was one official trade night, and that was fantastic. As you said, it was a line, unbelievably long line to get into it, and it was a great event for everyone who did get into it. There were also then, as you mentioned, all the other nights, there were pop-up trade nights in all the different hotels, but some of the hotels got annoyed with that. And there were some issues last year where some hotels were like, there's too many people in the lobby. We're going to clear the lobbies. And certain trade night, impromptu, unofficial trade nights got shut down. So this year, with there being the actual national supporting having 3 official trade nights, I think that's going to be great for all of the guests. Where physically are these trade nights in relation to the show floor?
Well, they'll be on the bottom level.
Okay.
There's a lower level, and we have plenty of space down there, and it's already being mapped out, planned out. But one of the things that I love about trade night, and we've come to appreciate too, is that it is people trading cards, it is people learning about cards, but it's really even more so for me the community. It's making friends. It's creating relationships, and that's to me what it's all about. And I think that with the trade nights, that's to me that's front and center. It's just another opportunity to kind of bring our industry together, bring our community together in a way that they can enjoy it and benefit from it.
Yeah, no, it truly adds a lot of value, in my opinion, to the decision to go to the National. I was just talking to somebody this morning who's considering making a last-minute trip with his kids. He hadn't booked anything yet, but he's like, I my kids are buzzing. Should I go to this? I'm like, oh, you have to go to this. And part of my, recommendation for him, I'm like, it's not just about the show. It's about what happens outside of the show, and the trade nights in particular, I feel like add a lot of value. And so now that there's 3 of those happening officially within the venue, I think that's a tremendous value add, a great reason for people to travel in, and it's much more of a all-encompassing experience for them when they do.
Yeah, when I started the conversations with our potential media partners and other partners out in Cleveland, I had a conversation, a Zoom call with one of the top executives with the Cleveland Browns. And it's one of those things where I'm always prepared to have to explain who we are, what we do, and all that. As soon as we got on the call, he goes, "Ray, we're in." And I said, "I haven't even said anything to you yet." He goes, "I got 3 kids. They know exactly what they want to do, and so we're in, and we want to participate in any way we can." But my point being is that we've gotten to a point where mainstream is understanding what we do. And when I say we, I mean the industry. and what we're capable of doing. And I had the same situation with the Guardians and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so we're starting to be able to kind of be in a position where what we do speaks volumes and doesn't need the 4 or 5 day explanation of why we're in Cleveland or what we're meant to do. And it's just a question of like how can we mutually benefit from our assets, and so that's what we've done. And so we're excited to be working with the Browns. We're excited to be working with the Guardians and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and all of them are going to contribute to that experience for our exhibitors and for our attendees.
So what does that mean exactly? Like how are the Browns and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Guardians going to be involved in this?
Well, I'll give you just a quick example. With the Guardians, they're going to give away 2 general admission tickets to the 7 games leading up to the 24th. They're in town for 2 series. So on the Jumbotron, they're going to give away 2 national general admission tickets, and they're going to promote it. And we expect, given the Guardians are in first place and baseball is red hot in Cleveland, that they're going to have a packed house. But we've known the Guardians for a while, and they understand who we are and what we're doing. And then they're gonna, we're gonna do some interactives. They're gonna have their mascots come in. They're gonna do some other cross promotions with us. Now the Browns have Cleveland Browns Daily, which is kind of like their podcast, and so they're going to participate. I'm doing an interview with them in a couple of days to kind of give their database, their community, some background in terms of what we're doing. We're doing some cross promotion on social media. So there's kind of anyways, and the nice thing about it is that it doesn't stop. It's kind of like if I have an idea, I can go to them, and if they have an idea, they come to me. So it's kind of like this ongoing relationship where, hey, because it's cool. I mean, they understand that their fans are collectors, and they understand that we have fans and collectors. And so, there'll be some cool things that we do in terms of promotions. Somebody wearing a Cleveland Browns jersey may win a certain prize. On the floor, spontaneous, utilizing our ambassadors. I've got like 12 to 15 ambassadors that are kind of just, their sole purpose, aside from creating their own content, is really meant to kind of, maximize the excitement, alert people to things going on, and give some behind the scenes looks at situations that they wouldn't, people on the floor, the attendees would never get to imagine or know about. Maybe behind the scenes with players signing, or somebody doing an interview, a key person coming in. So it's really nice with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We've had conversations with them. They don't do a lot. They really don't. They're pretty static. But we've got some things that we're going to be doing with them, and we're finalizing them right now. But maybe they'll be set up like Tuesday and Wednesday and offer discounts to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to our exhibitors, and things like that. So we're always thinking of, how do we maximize our assets, and then we try to help them with maximizing their assets. So it's an ongoing I call it cross promotion opportunity.
Absolutely. And of course, it sounds like a lot of that is about marketing to the Cleveland community to get more people to the show. Which I'm sure all of the, dealers and exhibitors, including ourselves, appreciate, because we want as many people there as possible. What do you think attendance is going to look like this year? Last year, Chicago set, I believe, the all-time attendance record. It was an unbelievably well-attended show. Obviously, there was more square footage last year at Chicago. We maybe can't handle that number of people this year, and I don't think we're expecting quite as many this year. But what do you think attendance is going to look like?
Well, I wish I could sit here and give you a number, but I mean, all I can tell you is that you're right. Last year we did about 100,000 plus. We don't normally give out numbers. We don't normally keep numbers, but The idea for this year is really just to maximize opportunities, maximize the space. I don't think that it will be far off from what we did last year. I think, maybe we don't have the space like comparable to last year, but we do have the enthusiasm and momentum going into this year. And I think, that part of it is huge. And I think that's something where I think, I've seen that since 2019. That was the last show before the pandemic, and we had a lot of momentum coming out of Chicago. The pandemic, we didn't know what to expect at first. Fortunately, it went in our way in terms of the industry, but it picked up. It picked up because people had it doing so well during the pandemic wanted to see each other again on the other side, and then it just grew and it's growing. Our international interest is skyrocketed. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to from Asia, we have exhibitors coming down from Canada now. We never had that before. And I've got media coming in from Vancouver and Berlin and France, and something that we maybe 5 or 6 years ago we looked at and said, wow, that would be amazing if we could do that. Now it's just commonplace. We've got like 50 people coming in from London. That's just one group. We got some of the top people in, like I said, the London Card Show coming over. It's become the go-to place internationally now, and I really believe that, and I think it's only going to grow. So to answer your question, I'm real excited about what we're going to put out there from a product standpoint, and I think from a marketing standpoint, I think we've done a great job. And when I say we, I mean our media partners. Right now we're running a meet and greet with Manny Ramirez in Cleveland. We've geo-targeted the state of Ohio with the Cleveland.com. We've got a lot of these things going. You may not see it, but they're going. We're working with MLB Network, and we've got a package put together with them. So there's a lot of things. So I have expectations, but I'm going to reserve the right to tell you until after the event.
All right, that sounds good. Well, I certainly hope it approaches last year in Chicago, because if it does, it will be a huge success. Chicago last year was a fantastic show, and the attendance was just off the charts. Every dealer there had a great show, at least from what I heard. And so if we're anywhere close to that, I think we're going to be another really great year. And you're right, there's so much momentum right now, it feels like, on multiple fronts in the hobby, that I am expecting a great show. I'm certainly looking forward to that happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else, Ray? What else have we not covered yet that is new things, different things that are happening this year that we need to make people aware of?
We have one event that's happening. You may be familiar with Dick Perez. He used to be the Baseball Hall of Fame official artist, and Mark Evans came to me last year and wanted to come in and do some filming at the National, and I asked him, what are you up to? And he goes, well, I'm doing a documentary on Dick Perez. And so they completed that, and so we talked, and we ended up doing an official first screening of the documentary at the National. And what's cool about that is that something that we never did in the past, but we're wide open now for experiences like this. We made it free, but you had to register for it, and we did like a couple of social media posts, and then like that next day, we kind of, all the reservations were taken. And I think there was like 250 people came and just kind of reserved a seat for that screening, which will be Friday night at 6:30. And then they're bringing in, like, there's some actors that were part of the documentary. There's sports writers and all that. So we're going to do some podcasts and some giveaways and things. And so those type of experiences are things that we want to bring to the table, and I think that will be great. The other thing too is that in the corporate area, we've we've created a national live lounge. And because content is so, obviously front and center, and thanks to you a lot, we've got an area where we're going to be able to do some, like maybe what I call like pop-up or one-offs, where, if you may have something and you may want to come in and do a podcast or do a press release we've got some things that I can't really mention because they're confidential right now, but that will be announced in this booth at that time on Thursday afternoon. But things like that we want to kind of make it so that it's not your typical just show up and walk the floor. I mean, we want things to be spontaneous. We want things to happen. We want people to to think about, hey, something could happen in the next half hour, and we better be on guard for it. So, but yeah, there's things like that that I think that are going to be surprise you a little bit, and I think will be good surprise for everybody. But and I think we're going to utilize our athletes a little bit more. In terms of last year, I think you saw a lot of them, and this is thanks to the corporate area too. A lot of them brought some of the key athletes to their booth. Whether they were doing their own podcast or the interview or just a meet and greet or whatever. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about, and I've seen within the last couple of years, and I'm sure you've noticed it too, is that the corporate area and even the dealers too have kind of stepped up their their presence, and I guess it really, if you were to ask them, it based on return on investment. I think everybody really feels that bringing in. I know Upper Tech is bringing their double-decker booth this year. I know that other people are bringing in. They're maximizing this opportunity. And yeah, that's great for us. It's great for the industry. It's great for the attendees because, again, if you're going to come in and maximize, and whether it's giveaways or discounts, I mean, whether it's an auction house or an appraisal company giving discounts, and I try to get that across to a lot of people because, one, you have all the auction houses there, you have all the grading companies there, you have all the other service companies that you could ever think about, and if you don't know anything about it, it's kind of a one-stop shop learning experience. But once you get there, not only are they there, but a lot of them are giving some great discounts. Discounts you wouldn't see at any other opportunity, any other day. So it's kind of a double asset where come in. If you have stuff that you don't know anything about, you can get it looked at appraised, and a lot of the auction houses are doing appraisals. So there's just so much, and then you go and like with a couple of the auction houses are bringing in stuff that they would never bring anywhere else because it's so valuable. I'm fortunate because I have a show that I have to do on Tuesday with Fox 8 there, and I've got one of the auction houses agreed to bring, multi-million-dollar stuff onto the set. That is stuff that is, great. One, because they're bringing it to the show, but two, because we get to promote it and highlight it and be in a position where people can see what this is all about. And that's kind of what I meant by momentum too. But these corporates are going to, they're going to go all out, and that's what gets me excited.
Yeah, it's always great to see. There's so many different unique things on display and promotions being run and interactive experiences during the event. It truly is an event that you can spend all 5 days there and, get a new experience everywhere you go. So it's the more time I think everybody out there has to just walk around the show floor and get to experience all of these things, the better. So
yeah, and I think with all that being said, I mean, I think Ludex came up with a great interactive map for us, and so attendees and even exhibitors will be able to utilize this app and be able to know where each exhibitor is, and it just make it cut down on that time and frustration. Again, this. if you go in there for the first time, even second or third time, and you look around, you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, where do I go? Where do I start? And so for me, I always say, have a game plan. If you're into modern cards, know where to go. If you're into vintage, know where to go. Check out the exhibitors on the website, and have a game plan. You're not going to be able to go in there and travel around the whole floor in one day. And if you do, you're running by things. I suggest you do it by sections. If you're there for like 2 or 3 days, like if cards are important to you and cards can go fast, they can be sold, go there first. All right. And then if there's something else like vintage memorabilia, that's not going to jump off like the first day, like cards would, but it's, and if you're getting something signed, obviously that's going to work into your schedule too. But have a game plan in terms, and a strategy in terms of how you're going to approach it, and stick with it. That's a key thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's great advice, Ray. And of course, you hear all the other typical ones like, wear comfortable shoes and, all that kind of stuff, which is absolutely true. But I think most people probably are already assuming that. And hopefully they're assuming to, be able to linger and spend quite a bit of time. And I think taking your advice there is sage advice to get them prepared for their journey. This has been great, Ray. I appreciate it. I know you've got a lot to go get prepared for now with the event just around the corner. But thank you for taking the time today to bring our audience up to speed on everything having to do with the National 2024 here in Cleveland.
Well, I hope to see everyone in Cleveland. And if you need any more information, just go to our website, the official website, nsccshow.com, and it's got all the information. You can buy your tickets and autograph tickets with links there too.
Absolutely. There you go. Appreciate it, Ray. I'll see you at the show.
Thanks, Geoff.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview, and I hope to see you at the National. Remember to come by the Sports Card Investor booth. Market Movers is there. Our Card Kids Trade Zone is there as well. And also bring your cards and collections to the Cards HQ dealer booth so we can make you an offer on those. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you are subscribed to the Geoff Wilson Show YouTube channel. Also, make sure you are subscribed to the Geoff Wilson Show on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Take care.